Good morning, Flagler County. I'm Rich Carroll. You're listening to Flagler's Morning News on Wednesday, April 26.
After the flooding, these adult mosquitoes started to appear, and there were so many of them that there was no way that we could cover them all with our helicopters.
Consecutive hurricanes at the end of last year led to a surge in the mosquito population, which continues to be a concern even after 6 months. With heavy rain in the forecast for this week, the mosquito population may increase again. Mike Martin with the East Flagler Mosquito Control District tells us how the county is fighting back.
Last year, the state hired fixed-wing planes because they fly much faster and they carry more payload, so they can cover much more area in a shorter amount of time. So last year after Ian, the state came in and sprayed all of Flagler County because really all of it needed to be sprayed. They weren't discriminating as to whether somebody didn't want to spray, or they just flew over and just covered everything to knock the adult mosquito population down.
Martin says that gives the district the ability to focus on larvae.
We are trying to larvicide in all the places we can think of that either we know there are mosquitoes there, like in the salt marshes, or in some of the areas that are still inundated with water. So having this week of rain, we know is going to produce a lot of adult mosquitoes.
On the shores, Martin says they put a product that looks like glass seeds. He explains how it works.
When the larvae eat them, they can't digest them, and so it fills up their intestines, and they actually starve to death because they can't get any food in. So again, it's a way for us to kill the larvae without having to use pesticides or unnatural chemicals, because we want to try to kill the larvae before they become adults. That's the best way, the most efficient way to prevent mosquitoes from biting people.
Martin says if Flagler gets a lot of rain from a storm at the end of the week, they may need to refocus efforts on combating the adult mosquito population. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. A longtime Flagler Beach attorney who was recently elected to the Flagler Beach City Commission talks about his public service.
Scott Spradley discusses why he wanted to go from being an advisor to a commissioner.
1 year ago, I was perfectly content to be a member of the community, to go to the city commission meetings, to serve on committees. But a lot of things began to happen. The groundbreaking of the hotel, which is now imminent, the demolition of and then rebuild of the hotel, or of the pier, which is going to happen soon. And then we began to have more hurricanes at a time when we were in the middle of trying to rebuild and renourish the beach. And then we began to have issues with the city manager, which ultimately led to his demise. So with all of those things happening at once, and with my going to the commission meetings, I just felt that I could lend a hand.
He felt the commission lacked focus.
And I say that knowing that all of those commissioners, present and past, I consider friends of mine. So I don't point at any particular commissioner, but it's just that I thought that I could bring my background and experience, I think logically. I try to prioritize things, and I really like both Commissioner Bryan and Phillips, who I would be replacing one or the other if I won. But then when Ken dropped out, that made it a little easier decision to go forward. So I'm glad I did.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Rich Petchke.
How did a group of entertainers pretending to be mermaids and pirates kick off events for foster kids?
Katie Binniger said it all started with a festival last August.
It was called the Pirate and Mermaid Adventure. It was last year in August, which was probably a really bad month to have a festival outside. It was so hot.
Binniger said that day was probably one of the best days so far.
We had 4 or 5 hours where the entire foster family could come. This day was so much fun. We had a mermaid tent with mermaids, I think 3 or 4 mermaids in there. We had a professional pirate magician that was there. We had bounce houses.
She said that everybody got a meal and left with games and snacks. Binniger said they will do it again this year, only they'll do it in June, not in August. Listen to Lifeline on WNZF Saturday mornings at 8 and on the Flagler radio app. Tomorrow, it's not necessarily fun and games for foster kids. From the WNZF newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll. Wake up with Flagler's Morning News. Stay connected with the latest stories and events by visiting WNZF News Radio on Facebook. Watch the Flagler's Morning News video posted every weekday morning and stay informed in Flagler County. Facebook.com/newsradio WNZF.